When you're dealing with numerous tracks in your mix, you're thinking of ways to make space in the mix for them so that you can hear the specific instruments. But often, instruments compete with each other because they occupy the same space in the mix. For example, a kick drum and a bass guitar, they're both going to sort of sit in the same frequency range. And one way to help you here is to use a method called sidechain compression. And basically with this, you use a compression, and the compression listens out for a sidechain source. And when it hears that source, it triggers the compressor to kick in. And in this way, you get the track to dip when it hears that source. So, for example, if you're using sidechain compression on the bass guitar, and the source is set to the kick drum, every time this compressor looks ahead and sees a trigger from the kick drum, it's going to kick this compression into action and get that to dip down when that kick plays. So this is just a way for two instruments that occupy the same space to be heard within a mix. So let's take a look at how to set up some sidechain compression in Mixbus. So as you can see, if you go down to the compressor modes, sidechain is only available as a mode on your mix buses. What this means is if you want to use some sidechain compression on an instrument, you need to make sure that it's first being bused to a mix bus. So in this example, we want to take the bass guitar, and with this bass guitar, it's going to use a kick drum as a source. So just make sure that your bass is going to a mix bus like I've set up over here. And then if you go across onto the kick drum, next to the master output, you see this little arrow here, and this enables the sidechain send. So if I click this, now this is being set as the sidechain source. I'll just use it for this kick drum. I won't use it for the other kicks because they're all doing the same thing. Now jumping across onto the bass guitar, let's set the mode to sidechain. You can see that's red there and it's picking up the red from the source. So now what's going to happen is when I enable this compression and bring down the threshold, when it triggers a kick or hears a kick, it's going to enable this compression and the compression is going to kick in. So first, let's make sure we've got a loop range. I've got this loop range here between verse 2 and chorus 2. And then on the mixer, I'm going to solo the kick and the bass. And I'm going to play back and watch as I pull this down, how that bass is going to dip when the kick is triggered. So let's increase that threshold. Let's pull this threshold down. So now you can hear that kick and that bass is dropping out. That's quite drastic. So let's drop down that threshold. And just to hear this more clearly, let's enable those other kicks as well. I can change this speed of how the compressor reacts. If I turn that off, you can take a listen without the sidechain compression. That's okay. But using the source, you can hear this more clearly. Now, if you just want to hear just what's happening with the sends, let's turn off the solo of that kick and just solo this bass. Now take a listen. Can you hear that? I'm going to pull this down more and increase this. Hear that? As there's a kick, which I'm not really hearing, you can hear that bass dipping. Obviously, this is quite a drastic setting, but it's helping create some space. So let's pull the drums in. Have a shorter release. Awesome. That's pretty neat, eh? So this is just a great way to make sure that elements like these have space in the mix. As I mentioned, the kick and bass guitar will probably take up the same frequency range and will be competing against each other in the mix. So using techniques like sidechain compression is just a great way to open it up and make sure each instrument is being heard when it needs to. Awesome. Now that you know how sidechain compression is achieved within MixBus, let's take a look at how to do some parallel compression. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.